My sister texted, "Send $7,200 for my daughter's sweet 16, along with photos of the ballroom, dress, and $700 cake." I said, "Get a job." 10 minutes later, Dad demanded, "Pay up or leave this family." That night, I texted, "Cancel everything. By 7:30 a.m. Okay, gather round, because there's a story I need to tell you. It's about the day my family tried to exile me for saying one simple word, no. I was their quiet, dependable ATM for years, always there to bail them out, always the one picking up the pieces. But there came a moment when the price of love became too high, and I finally had to choose between my sanity and their bottomless demands. My name is Gary, and I'm a creature of order. I'm the guy who files receipts, labels envelopes, and keeps a spreadsheet for everything, from utility bills to my sock drawer. I'm an auditor, and my superpower is asking boring questions until the numbers finally spill the truth. My coworkers joke I can sniff out a missing decimal from across a conference room, and honestly, it's not really a joke. I live alone in a small one-bedroom that smells faintly of starch from the dry cleaner downstairs. I don't mind it. My kitchen is like a sample budget. Simple, predictable, nothing fancy. Meal prep Sundays, bring my own coffee to work. I like rules. They don't get offended when you follow them. My family, though, for them, rules were always optional. We grew up in a ranch house where the TV was always on and mail lived in a permanent pile near the fruit bowl. Mom is warm, loud, a hug that comes with a to-do list. Dad is a fixer, but only when it's his idea. He's allergic to planning when it's yours. Then there's my younger sister, Bella. She's pure sparkle and momentum. Bella turns everything into a moment, a performance. The camera loves her. People love her. Bills, however, do not. Since college, I've been the fallback. The airport ride, the guy who reads the lease, the emergency contact, the one who knows how to talk to banks. Turns out, knowing how to talk to banks actually meant putting my name on things. But that's a story for a little later. It was a Tuesday night in March. I was in my apartment, a casserole cooling on the counter, a basketball game on mute. I was marking up a client's expense report with a yellow highlighter when my phone buzzed. It was Bella. First, a photo of a ballroom, chandeliers like upside-down frozen fountains, gold chairs. Then, a sweeping white and silver gown on a mannequin. Next, a screenshot of a cake with a price tag, $700. And finally, her text, "Send me $7,200 for Maya's sweet 16. Followed by a confetti emoji and a pink heart. I just stared at the screen like it was a magic trick I was supposed to applaud. Before I could even process it, another photo came through. A mock-up of an invitation, cursive letters, the date. Caption, "It's happening." The game clock ticked. The casserole popped softly as it cooled. A bus hissed outside. I put the phone face down, then flipped it back over. Ignoring things isn't my way. I typed, "What?" 3 bubbles appeared in quick succession. "Ballroom deposit is due tomorrow. We want a string quartet during cocktail hour. It'll be so special, Gary." I held the phone. I didn't send money. I didn't send a scathing reply. I just sat there in my quiet kitchen, with my boring dinner and the smell of starch, and thought. Asterisk, here it is again. The glitter invoice. Asterisk, I typed a single sentence and erased it. Face down went the phone again. I breathed. My rule is, I don't make money decisions while annoyed. But the words were already forming in the back of my throat, a fuse burning. I knew what I was going to say, and I also knew exactly what would come after. I picked up the phone. My thumbs hovered. I thought about the last 18 months. I thought about the store card. I thought about the emergency that bought shoes. I thought about being told I was ruining the vibe by mentioning budgets. And then I thought about Maya, my niece, a 16-year-old who is kind to me, who deserves a celebration that won't wreck anyone's year. I tapped 3 words. I didn't hit send. Not yet. The dry cleaner shut off their lights. My upstairs neighbor's faucet squealed like a tea kettle. The moment sat there, quiet and sharp. I knew, once I sent those words, everything at home would tilt. I put the phone down, cleaned my plate, washed the pan, answered 2 work emails. Then I picked up the phone again, unlocked it, and let the words go. 10 minutes later, my dad's name lit up my screen. And that's when everything started to burn. Look, this next part is boring if you like chaos. For me, it's how I get my balance back. A ledger isn't love, but love without a ledger. It eats you alive. When I was 19, Bella wanted to go to a summer arts program. Tuition shortfall, $600. It's for her future. Mom said. I paid the gap. Bella sent heart emojis and a blurry photo of a paint-splattered canvas. Worth it, I told myself. Investment. At 21, Dad's truck needed brakes. I'll pay you Friday, he promised. Friday became a weather system that kept getting delayed. For $120, never paid. At 23, Mom called, crying about overdraft fees. I went to the bank on my lunch break, talked to a manager, got $150 in fees reversed, and added alerts to her account. I even brought Mom a notebook labeled bills, drew columns, showed her how to write due dates. She used it for 2 weeks. Then it disappeared into the fruit bowl pile. At 24, Bella started a small home bakery. I bought labels and a thermal printer for $178. I loved her energy. I believed in containers. She sold cupcakes for 3 weekends, posted pretty photos, then stopped when it got hard. The printer still lives in a closet. I try not to feel stupid every time I see it. At 25, Dad asked me to co-sign a refinance for a better rate. I said no. He said, be a man. I told him being a man meant not saying yes to everything. He didn't talk to me for 10 days. At 26, Mom signed up for a store card at checkout. It arrived at my apartment because the address on the application was confused. I hadn't applied. I called. I closed it. We had a long, quiet Sunday dinner. She told me I was cold. I told her I was protecting my credit. We both cried into the salad. At 28, Bella's rent was late. She'd moved out with her boyfriend because they needed their own space. I fronted $900 with the sentence, "This is the last time." It was not. She broke up with the boyfriend 3 months later, moved back home. The rent money never boomeranged. At 30, Dad texted, "Emergency." The emergency? Cable got cut. He needed $180 until Thursday. Thursday never came. The cable returned in 2 hours, and so did the football games. I started calling his asks panics, not emergencies. It helped me say no more often. At 31, Mom's birthday dinner for 19 people, at a restaurant that spells steak with 3 adjectives per cut. The bill hit the table, and everyone looked at me like I was the cashier. I put down my card, because watching the slow-motion scramble physically hurt me. I drove home nauseous and mad at myself. I promised I wouldn't be the default wallet again. At 32, Bella's daughter, Maya, was 12. Bright and kind. She drew me comics of Uncle Gary, the spreadsheet superhero. I framed one. It's still above my desk. Best thing on my wall. That's when I started a small $529 plan in my name for her, putting in $25 a month. Because future-leaning love is the only kind that doesn't rot. In between, there were a million small drafts. Gas money just this once. A phone upgrade for safety. They'll pay you back after the refund hits. Payback is a myth in our house. Gratitude is real. Gratitude is warm and heavy. But gratitude does not pay the damn bills. The worst part isn't the money. It's the tilt. If I bring home a bonus, Dad says, don't brag. If Bella posts a selfie with a caption about hustling, Mom comments a dozen hard eyes. But when I say no, I'm told I'm making everything about money. When they say yes to themselves, it's self-care. It makes me sound bitter. I didn't start bitter. I started practical. Bitterness grew like mold on that practicality when I kept being told my no was cruelty, and their want was need. My chest was tight all the time. My jaw ached from clenching while I said, no problem, to problems that weren't mine. I started therapy last year. What do you want? My therapist asked. To stop being the family's overdraft protection, I said. That's a boundary, she replied. Boundaries get you exiled, I said. Sometimes, she said. Exile is a healthy distance. So I tried. I wrote a list titled Policy. Item 1, no co-signing. Item 2, no lending to cover previous lending. Item 3, gifts are planned, not extracted. Item 4, I don't negotiate via tears or threats. Item 5, if I feel panic in my body, I wait 24 hours before replying. It worked half the time. Then Bella's text about the Sweet 16 landed like a test I knew I was supposed to fail. See, Bella has big taste and small follow-through. She loves entrances. She loves moments. She also believes that if you make something big enough, someone will step in and make the numbers work. Historically, that someone is me. She sent the ballroom photo again, then a tiara, then a floral arch. It's not just a party, she typed. It's a once-in-a-lifetime. I stared at the phone and saw a math problem dressed like a dream. The total wasn't just $7,200. The total was $7,200 plus all the other times the glitter invoice had come to my door. I typed 3 words. I erased them. I typed them again. I pressed send. Get a job. Silence. Then 3 dots. Then nothing. Then my dad. Pay or get out of this family. It wasn't about a party anymore. It never is. It was about their favorite equation. Love equals money. And if you challenge the math, you're the villain. I sat on my couch with the game on mute and my casserole cooling, staring at that text like it was a fire behind glass. I felt the old panic rising. Asterisk fix it. Smooth it. Be the good one. Don't make noise. Asterisk then I pictured Maya's comic on my wall, Uncle Gary with a cape shaped like a pie chart. I heard my therapist's voice. What does protecting yourself sound like? It sounded like a sentence I had never said out loud to my family. I whispered it to the empty room first. This isn't about revenge. This is about closure. It felt like flipping a breaker back to its rightful position. That night, I opened a fresh spreadsheet and titled it, Family Account, Gary to Parents plus Bella. Then I opened my text thread and said what I needed to say. And that's when the house lights came up and everyone started shouting. The group chat started at 8:02 p.m. Mom named it Family, as if that would keep it from cracking. She added me, Dad, Bella. Gary, your sister is stressed. Be kind. Dad, you don't talk to your sister like that. Bella, wow, really? To your niece. I typed slowly. I love Maya. I'm not paying $7,200 for a party. Dad called immediately. He hates the slowness of text when he's in a fight. I answered, because ducking calls is like adding gasoline. Hey, he snapped, no breath or hello. Don't bother showing up here again. Dad, I said, keeping my tone level. That's abusive. Abusive? He laughed, high and offended. You're the one withholding from your own blood. I'm withholding from bad decisions, I said. Bad? He sputtered. It's a sweet 16. It's an event you can't afford, I replied. A nice one, sure, but a luxury. Bella took the phone. I could hear her breathing hard. I thought you loved Maya. I do, I said. I want her to have a special day that doesn't involve me subsidizing a ballroom and a $700 cake. It's not just cake, she snapped. It's a design. Exactly, I said. Mom grabbed the phone. I could hear her organizing her voice the way she organizes a kitchen drawer, by pushing everything to the back and calling the front neat. Gary, we didn't raise you to be cruel. You raised me to help, I said. I'm helping by not funding a mistake. Everything with you is math, she sighed. Where is your heart? In Maya's college account, I said. Where her future lives. Silence. Then Dad again, voice low, like a threat whispered at a dog. If you don't pay, don't come to the party. Don't come to this house. Don't call us. You're out. I felt my pulse in my teeth. Are you sure you want to say that? I asked. Say what? He sneered. That money is the ticket to family, I said. That's your position? His silence was an answer. I could have begged. I could have said, I'll pay part. I could have tried to compromise with someone who had already decided ransom was a parenting technique. Instead, I looked at the fresh spreadsheet on my laptop, at the numbers I'd begun to enter, at the line I'd drawn at the bottom with the word closed in caps I hadn't yet earned. Okay, I said. Here's what's going to happen. I'm sending you a document in the morning. It's a statement of what I've paid over the last 10 years. Gifts are gifts. Loans are loans. Everything else is pressure. I'm zeroing that out. Effective immediately, I am not your bank. I will not fund this party. I will not co-sign anything. I will not discuss money with you. Dad laughed again, but this time it sounded less like power and more like air leaving a balloon. You think you're special because you have a decent job? No, I said. I think I'm a person with a boundary. Bella cried, a high, shocked noise I've known since she was 5. You're choosing money over your niece. I'm choosing her future over your party, I said. I'll gladly pay for community college textbooks when she needs them. I'll buy her driving lessons. I'll match whatever she earns at a part-time job for a used car. I will not buy chandeliers. You'll regret this, Mom said. The same words I've heard after every no. One day, we won't be here. That day, I said, is exactly why I can't bankrupt myself for a cake. She exhaled hard into the receiver. You're so cold. I'm precise, I said. There's a difference. Send the document, Dad mocked. Let's see your little report. It's not little, I said. It's 10 years. I hung up before the next round. My hands were shaking, and my shoulders felt like they'd been lifted to my ears for a year. I wrote the letter. I kept it simple. I will not fund, co-sign, or guarantee any debts. I will not be pressured or threatened into paying for luxuries. Any attempt to open credit in my name will be handled by law. I love you. And the answer is no. This isn't about revenge. This is about closure. At midnight, I finished the spreadsheet. I rounded down. I removed petty lines so no one could say I was being dramatic. The total still made my stomach drop. $41,870 over a decade. Bridges, emergencies, missed reimbursements, and events where the check found me like a heat-seeking missile. At 12:17 a.m., I emailed the PDF to the family thread and BCC'd my own non-family account, because an auditor documents everything. I slept badly, a shallow, jittery twilight instead of true rest. By 7:30 the next morning, my mom was at my door. She had the printout in one hand and the expression of someone who had finally decided to make a scene. She looked at the bottom line. She looked at me. Her mouth worked around a sentence. She sat down without asking, and then, in a motion both familiar and unreal, she slumped and fainted. I caught her head before it hit the arm of the chair. My father would later say I planned it that way, as if gravity and truth were my accomplices, as if a boundary were a trap. I didn't call an ambulance. I did the practical things. Feet up, cool cloth, spoke gently. She came around in 30 seconds, blinking, looking suddenly small in my very average chair. "Gary," she said, confused. "I'm here," I said. "You fainted." She looked at the paper in her hand as if it might bite her. "You made a list of every little thing." "I removed the little things," I said. "These are just the ones you promised to pay back. I'm zeroing them. I'm closing our financial relationship." She stared at the word closed like it was an insult sung off key. "How dare you?" "Mom," I said softly. "How dare you make my membership in the family a bill?" She stood up too quickly and had to sit down again. "Your father will be furious." "I've already heard his version," I said. Right on cue, my phone buzzed with a text from Dad. "Monster." Then another. "We are done." Then a voice message I didn't listen to for an hour because I wanted to hear my own thoughts first. Bella's text came in waves. "Are you happy now? Maya is crying. I hope you feel big." My thumbs hovered. I typed, erased, typed again. My therapist's voice in my head. "Say what you're doing, not what they're doing." I wrote, "I won't pay for the party. I will contribute $500 to Maya's education fund if you open one by Friday." Then I hit send. Silence for a long minute. Then, "Keep your blood money." Then, 5 minutes later, "What's a $529? I sent a link. She left me on read. Mom finally stood without wobbling. She smoothed the paper. She folded it into a tight square. "You're not the person I thought you were," she said. "I am," I said. "I'm just done paying to be him." She left without touching me. The door clicked. My apartment felt huge and airless. I made coffee. I sat at my table with a mug between my hands so I wouldn't text out of heat. I listened to Dad's voicemail when my hands were steady. "You did this to your mother," he hissed. "You always were a cold fish. Don't come here. Don't call us. Don't use our name to make yourself feel important." I saved it. Documentation. At 9:05 a.m., my boss called. "You good?" he asked. "You're usually on early." "I had a family thing," I said. "Take the morning," he said. Then after a pause, "Take the day." I didn't. Work is where the numbers behave. I needed that when the people didn't. By lunch, my aunt had called, choosing sides gently. "Your mother is devastated," she said. "This party is a big deal." "She can have a big deal," I said. "She just can't send me the invoice." "Family helps," she argued. "I've helped for a decade," I said. "Now I'm helping me." She made the disappointed noise. "You know, you sound like a banker." "I am an auditor," I said. "I count because no one else will." In the afternoon, my credit monitoring pinged. A hard inquiry from a store in a mall I hadn't visited in years. I called immediately. "We have a new application under your name," the rep said. "Close it," I said. "Fraud co-applicant?" she asked. "Your sister's name appears." "Close it," I repeated. "And flag my file." I sent the confirmation to the family thread with one line. "Do not attempt to open credit in my name. Any future attempts will involve the police." Dad replied, "Stop threatening us." I typed, "Stop stealing from me." Then I deleted it and wrote, "This isn't a threat. It's a boundary." At 3 p.m., my therapist squeezed me into a video slot. I sat with my laptop balanced on a stack of audited binders and told her about the fainting, the voicemail, the mall card. "What does your body feel like?" she asked. "My jaw hurts," I said. "My stomach feels electric." "What is your rule today?" she asked. "I don't make decisions to fix their feelings," I said. "I make decisions to protect my future." She nodded. "Say it to them." "I already did," I said. "They heard betrayal." "That's not yours to translate," she said. I wrote it on a sticky note and stuck it to the corner of my monitor, not my translation. Over the next week, the family chat was a storm. Mom sent photos of cake designs with the caption, "Never mind, we'll do sheet cake," followed by a crying emoji. Bella posted to Facebook a vague status about some people choosing money over love. Friends commented with praying hands. Dad updated his profile photo to one of him and Maya, smiling as if to say, "We're fine without you." I did boring things that felt like sandbags against a flood. Frozen my credit. Removed my parents as authorized users on an old card I had forgotten they were on. Changed passwords. Updated emergency contacts at work. It all felt clinical and small and profoundly necessary. Then something shifted. On day 9, Bella texted, "How do I open that education thing?" I sent the link again. She called 30 minutes later. "Walk me through it," she asked, voice flat, exhausted. "Okay," I said. "On one condition, we are not talking about the party." "Fine," she said. We set up the account. She put in $25. I put in $500. It wasn't a truce. It was a wire laid under the yard. On day 12, Mom texted, "I made soup. Can I drop some off?" I said yes, with a rule, no party talk. She came by, hugged me briefly, set the Tupperware on the counter, touched the edge of one of my spreadsheets like it might tell her a secret, and said, "Your father is stubborn." It was the closest to an apology I have seen in my family. "I know," I said. On day 15, Dad called. I let it ring once and picked up on the second, out of old reflex. "Your mother fainted," he said, weirdly cheerful, like he'd discovered my kryptonite. "You happy?" "No," I said. "I'm sad. I'm also still not paying." Silence. Then a breath. "You always were good with numbers," he said, almost soft. "We're bad with them." "That's true," I said. "Can you look at ours?" he asked. "Not to pay. To look." I sat up. "Yes," I said. "I'll look. I won't pay." "Fine," he said. Saturday, at their dining table. I brought a legal pad and 3 colors of highlighters, because that's how I move. I made 3 columns. Needs. Nice. Not now. I wrote rent in big letters at the top. I put Sweet 16 Ballroom under not now. Mom glared. I left it there. I wrote Maya's dress under nice, with a dollar amount that wouldn't break anyone. I wrote sheet cake under nice and underlined it once. I wrote DJ from cousin's friend under not now. I wrote park permit plus potluck under needs/nice compromise. Dad resisted, then stopped resisting when I showed him how much interest he'd paid last year on credit cards. Mom cried when I circled the number. I passed her a tissue and kept the pen moving, because that's the only way anything ever changes. Bella came in with a Pinterest board dressed up as a phone. "Balloon arch?" she asked. "Not unless you blow them up yourself," I said. She made the face of a person who has never blown up 20 balloons and thought she might pass out halfway through. "I can do that," she said, defiant. "I'll get Maya to help." "Good," I said. "Teach her to price things." When I left, the ballroom was out, the park was in, the cake budget was normal, and everyone was mad at me in a way that felt familiar, but smaller. I got in my car and sat with the engine off. I wasn't elated. I was level. There's a difference between winning and not losing. The next week, the calls slowed. The texts cooled. A new silence moved in. Not exile. Space. I went running 3 mornings in a row and didn't take my phone. I bought a plant and promised not to kill it. I got coffee with a friend who said, "You look like you slept." I had. The party plan became a backyard with borrowed lights. Bella found a neighbor with a smoker who agreed to handle meat for a case of soda and $100. Maya chose a simple dress that made her look like herself, sweet, a little shy, a little taller than the last time she hugged me. She hugged me when I dropped off folding chairs. She whispered, "Thanks for the college thing." I whispered, "Thanks for being you." On the day of the party, I showed up with ice and a folding table and left my wallet in the glove compartment. Because I'm done leaving it on the table as tribute. Dad stood by the grill like a general. Mom fussed with fairy lights that didn't work until I fixed them and said, "You're still our fixer." "I fix lights, not budgets," I said. She nodded. "Fair." Bella avoided me at first, then brought me a plastic cup of lemonade like a white flag. "No chandeliers," she said, laughing without joy. "It's beautiful," I said. And it was. People were happy. Maya was glowing. The backyard looked like a real life you could afford. The $700 cake? It became a sheet cake from a bakery that printed a watercolor version of one of Maya's drawings on top. It tasted like vanilla in a beginning. Later, Dad pulled me aside. He looked like he wanted to say something that didn't fit in his mouth. "You're a good man," he said abruptly. "Thanks," I said. He grunted. "Don't expect poetry." "Wouldn't dream of it," I said. When the music ended and the folding chairs clicked closed, I took my plant-based leftovers, yes, Bella, and my folded table, and went home to my quiet, starch-smelling apartment. I put the plant on the windowsill, the leftovers in labeled containers, and the table in the closet. I stood in the center of the room and felt not triumphant, just steady. I opened my desk drawer and looked at the printed letter with the words I'd sent after the ballroom text. I ran my finger over. This isn't about revenge. This is about closure. Instead of adrenaline, I felt something like a hum, like a circuit that finally matches the breaker. 2 months in, the family chat has no money talk. If someone types loan, we stop. Maya texts about chemistry, and I send her lemonade math, adding $25 to her $529. Dad calls on Sundays for football. If he slips, I say, "Not my topic." Mom sends soup pics, too much salt. Add a potato. Bella texts, "Got extra shifts." And I text back, "Proud of you." My rule: I won't buy love with loans or cosign denial. I'll fund things that build a life. Books, lessons, working lights. This isn't revenge. It's closure. A labeled panel, backyard bulbs, a cake we could afford, and my wallet staying in the glove box while I still belong.